Very smart, very team-friendly, very, very Howie Roseman-esque, and I think the years tell you all you need to know. This is a bridge quarterback now, albeit a very, very nice bridge, a very expensive bridge. And if you look at the deal, obviously $13 million basically per year guaranteed, and that's what he made last year. So obviously what we talked about, the fact that there weren't a lot of teams interested in Sam's services, really kind of developed that way, and the Eagles took advantage of it and were able to get him at a very, very nice number. In turn, Tom Condon can go out and say, I got him $18 million a year. And so both sides kind of save face, and that's what you need in these types of negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, I like the short-term deal for the Eagles, and that money, it basically it shows that you're not paying for Bradford. You're paying for that position, the premium that position is.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously in the NFL, if you're paying a veteran quarterback, even an average to above average veteran quarterback, that's where you're volleying about. And we just saw it with Kirk Cousins down I-95 we just talked about. You know, when these guys are on their rookie deals and they're making $660,000, it looks great. All of a sudden you get to free agency, boom, it turns into $19.9 million. What you have with Sam Bradford, a little bit different, obviously, because he was the number one overall pick, the last so-called bonus baby under the old CBA. So he's always been making big-time money. And the situation here is that the numbers kept going down. You mentioned Les Bowen's report earlier. He got more than that, so he saved face in that regard. He got a little bit of a raise, but there just wasn't another team that was going to step forward and say, hey, I'm going to pay Sam Bradford $20 million a year.
John, so far, by the way, we ask on Twitter, @MikeGill do you like the deal? In less than 5 minutes, 25 votes are already in. 77% say yes, 23% say no. Do you think the fans were kind of siding with Bradford that they wanted him back here?
Well, you know, I don't think there's any question. Even the people like myself who advocated moving on from Sam Bradford never really doubted that as far as 2016 went, he was their best option. So if you're looking at it from a myopic standpoint and you're just being, you know, short term, there was no way the Eagles were going to be able to bring in a quarterback that would perform at a higher level than Sam Bradford will if he stays healthy. And that's whether it's you go out and get a Chase Daniel on the free agent market, or if you draft a young rookie quarterback like Paxton Lynch. There was no way they were going to be as good in 2016 as Sam Bradford projects to be. The concern is as it moves forward, and that's where the good part of it comes in for the Eagles, they didn't tie themselves up long term. I still think there's a chance they could draft a quarterback at number 13, but they're certainly going to draft one relatively early, whether it's one in the first round or if it's with their 2 third-round picks, if they trade back into the second round. At some point, they're going to try to get a quarterback to be the future of this team, and all of a sudden you have a veteran guy like Sam Bradford who can be the bridge and hopefully teach them how to be an NFL quarterback, and everything goes smoothly. We'll see how that part of it works out. So I think it was a prudent move by the Eagles, and the fact they only tied themselves up for 2 years is the best part of it as far as it goes for them.
Yeah, I think, you know, John, looking at that, as Pete mentioned before, a bridge quarterback, you've said it over the last couple of days, that 2-year time frame for the Eagles really works out because, as you just said, now they can draft a guy, and if they don't deem him to be ready in year 1 or 2, they know that they have a starting level quarterback, and then they can evaluate Bradford in, you know, just a quick 2 years down the road, and maybe he becomes that number 1 overall pick, becomes the guy that played well over the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, and you're right. You could revisit it at that point. If he's playing well, you could always go back and stay status quo. I think a lot of teams in this league are now sort of going at the position like Seattle has done in the past before they hit with Russell Wilson. If you remember, they signed Charlie Whitehurst. They signed Matt Flynn. They brought in Tavares Jackson. They were just taking swings at the plate with these quarterbacks, and they finally got one in Russell Wilson that hit and turned him into a serious contender. I think a lot of other teams are looking at that and understanding, hey, even if one guy misses and one guy hits, it still works out for us in the end. You do understand you're going to have to pay significant money at that particular position at some point. If you have even as I said, an average quarterback, the one slight concern I have is it's evident what you're signaling by the 2-year deal is it's evident in the Eagles' mind that this is a bridge quarterback. He's not the answer. And once you put that into the equation, it is a little bit expensive for a bridge quarterback for what they did with Sam Bradford. But then, on the other hand, you have to realize the salary cap has gone up $12 million, and the landscape is changing a little bit.
I think they both get to save face, John, and I think that that's why we're all saying it's a win-win. It seems like it's going to be a popular decision in the locker room. I mean, I know at the end of the season, Jordan Matthews was practically clamoring for Sam to come back. Has to be the guy, has to be the guy, point blank, period, were some of the quotes that were attributed to Jordan Matthews. How do you think bringing Sam back will play in the locker room?
I think it'll play well. I think you're right, Pete. A lot of the guys wanted him back, and he showed a little bit more leadership. He showed he was fitting in more in the second half of the season. And more than anything else, I think there's a lot of veterans on this Eagles team that sees the landscape of the NFC East and says, you know what, we can turn this around in 1 year and make the playoffs next season. And to do that, you need competent play at quarterback. And they understood if they went a different route, that probably signals we're rebuilding. We're not expecting to make the playoffs. So the part of it from the players' perspective is that they now think they're a player in the NFC East with Sam back, and I think that makes guys, certainly like Jordan Matthews, as you mentioned, but also Zach Ertz, who mentioned that he'd like to have Sam back, and Nelson Aguilar. I think it makes them a lot happier to have a veteran guy throwing the football to.
What about the $26 million guaranteed?
It's if you think about what he made last year, $13 million, and that's the part that people need to pay attention to because NFL contracts really aren't like baseball or basketball, which are fully guaranteed, and they're generally skewed toward the team aspect, and they can move on basically once that guaranteed money is evaporated, and it's not going to be a significant hit on the cap. So, but in this case, it really doesn't enter an equation because this isn't a 5-year deal. This is a 2-year deal, and that's significant guaranteed money. But you realize you expect Sam Bradford to be on your roster for the next 2 seasons. So the fact that it's a $13 million hit each year, you can spread it over both years in the salary cap. It indicates that the Eagles want him to be the starter for the next 2 seasons, and that's where the bridge aspect comes into it.
All right, John McMullen, I'm sure we'll have some more at 97.3 ESPN.com as the breaking news comes down. Sam Bradford, 2 years, $36 million, $26 million guaranteed. Another $4 million is available through incentives. And going on 29 years old, Sam Bradford will be in Philadelphia for another 2 seasons. Thanks, John.
Hey, thank you, guys.